in today's session, we'll cover some of the basics related to Web3. I'll try to explain some of the terms like blockchain, what exactly Web3 means, compare it to our current technology like Web2 and databases. So yeah, so let's start the slideshow for now. So this is the table of contents. First of all, let's go through some of the buzzwords that you may have heard of, like cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, blockchain slash DLT. So can someone tell me what cryptocurrency is? A bit of a definition, if you could type it in the chat box. Am I audible? A digitalized form of currency. Correct. So cryptocurrency is again a digital form of currency. It has become a great medium of exchange, especially for people who live cross country. And Bitcoin was the very first cryptocurrency. It has enabled transactions between people without any middlemen. So middleman is the key word here. In that, if you want to do transactions between people in daily life, what do you do? Can someone give me an example about how we transact with other people? Let's say you want to send money to a friend. What would you do? Enable these transactions. But the goal of Web3 is to actually make sure that there are no middlemen involved, because there are many risks in having middlemen, or rather centralized organizations. Some more terms here. Has the chat heard about Ethereum? I'm sure they must have. They have heard about smart contracts. Yes, definitely. And what about blockchain or a DLT? Can someone tell me what is DLT? Anyone? Anyone in the chat? Distributed ledger tech, right? So it is the technology that enables all these applications like cryptocurrency, even Ethereum, right? So right here, I have a slide that shows the different versions of web that we have gone through. The first web 1.0 was all about the reading of the web, or rather it allowed the people to read whatever content that was posted by people on the web. The second one was all about letting you write on the web. Now you can ask, well, in web 1.0 also that was available, right? But in web 2.0 that became much more easy, and that led to applications like social media and, let's say, Facebook, Instagram, and stuff like that. So then what is web 3.0? With each version of web, something new was introduced, something new that the users could do with the internet. 1.0 introduced reading, web 2.0 introduced writing. For understanding how we can own data, let's just quickly go through these terms one by one. So there are types of networks in which how the companies, or rather anyone, can handle data. First is the centralized way, wherein we connect to the internet, we go to Google, we type something, we search for something, all that data goes to Google, Google handles it and gives us whatever output we want. Same thing happens with companies like Meta or applications like Instagram. These companies have our data and they can use it in any manner they want. And these, basically, if you describe a centralized network, it would look something like this. All these nodes connected to a single point. And this single point would be the point of control for all that data. Next is the term decentralized. Most nodes that are connected to each other in case of a decentralized network. It would look something like this, wherein nodes are connected to each other in this manner. But the most important thing is that there is no single node that has control. All of them have equal control. All of them do the same task. And distributed is another type of network where nodes are all of them connected to each other. Not a single one is left behind. So, and basically each and every node has the same copy of data all across the network. So when we talk about Web 3.0, we are talking about these two types of networks. Any doubts so far? If you have any doubts, you can just directly add it in the chat box. I'll just open it and see what's. Okay. Next is the term a ledger. So what is a ledger? You must have seen at home whenever, let's say, your mother may be doing, let's say, ghar ka, what do you call it? She may be going through the balance sheet, or rather, she may be looking at how much money is being spent every month. She may be calculating how much will be required and stuff like that. So you do all that in a ledger. The ledger handles whatever change that may have happened on an account or on in a data. So normal databases like MySQL that you may have heard of are storing data like name, passwords, numbers, emails, and such. However, a ledger stores the change in such data. Like if you change your name from, let's say, A to B, that change is the thing that will be stored in a ledger and not the name itself. A perfect example for a ledger is basically an account balance. As you can see in this image, this person is writing the change in his account saying that I have donated 500 to my friend, and that's what is being written here. Next is the term blockchain. So what is a blockchain? A blockchain is basically a chain of blocks, and this ledger data is what is being stored on the blocks. The blocks are linked cryptographically, and this linking makes this data inside the blocks immutable, or rather unchangeable. Like in databases, you could actually hack those databases. You could actually, well, even change database data in some cases as well. But in this case, you can never change the data in a blockchain. But how are they exactly linked? We can see that via this image about a blockchain. Here we have the first block, the second block, and the third block. This first block has a hash and another attribute which is a previous hash. As this is the first block, there is no block before this one. So its previous hash is written as 0000. But this second block has a previous block, which is the first block. And it has its own hash 8y5c9. And the previous hash is actually equal to this specific hash. And how is this hash calculated? This hash is calculated via hashing functions, which basically take the transaction data, whatever you have done. Let's say you have transferred some money to a friend. That change is recorded and stored as a transaction. That transaction is hashed, and this specific string comes out of it. So this string represents your hash. And if you, let's say, I come in and change that data. Let's say you transferred $50 to your friend. I changed it and wrote, you have transferred $100 to a friend. So that data has changed. And when it goes through the hash function, the hash will also change. And what will happen because of that? The entire chain's hashes will be changed, which would mean that every single block has, let's say, the wrong kind of data. So that's exactly how the data in a blockchain is rather immutable.